Welcome back, I am Captain Xavier, and it is the 4th of July, and to celebrate, I am going to build the castle that inspired my castle. This is the old King's Castle. I believe it was set 6080 from 1984. I don't think I actually own it. I have several of the other castles. I had the Black Falklands Fortress, and I had the Black Monarch's Castle, and I believe I have the Knight's Castle, but I never owned the King's Castle. But I have all the parts for it, because it's back from the era before they started making everything have specialty parts, so if you didn't have all the specialty parts from that specific set, you couldn't build it. And so I've gone through my bins, and I built the set earlier to make sure that I had all the parts, and I found the instructions online, and I'm gonna build it, so enjoy some time-lapse, and then we'll do some fun stuff where we compare it to the castle that I built. So, onward! Well, there it is. This is the King's Castle from 1984. One of the earliest castles, actually. It had a number of neat features. Like most of the castles back then, it opened up in the back to either open up into a really wide castle, but they put out a number of additional sets, a blacksmith shop, a guarded inn, little wall sections that could all be connected into this to create a larger structure. I was completely unaware of this when I was a child because I didn't have any of those smaller sets, and so it never occurred to me until I was much older. And a few years back I went and I built all of the extra sets so that I could put them onto the Black Falklands Fortress, which was one of the earliest, I think it was the first castle that I got. Didn't build it for many, many years after I got it, which is a long story, but I finally built all of the different small sets and put them all together into the one huge castle, which was really, really cool. But it's something that I thought was neat that they did back then, that you could buy the castle and then add all the little parts onto it. Which is the kind of thing you don't see in LEGO much anymore, and I think it's kind of lost feature of LEGO back when it was mostly small parts, but that's just me. Anyway, let's take a look at it in comparison to my castle for fun and excitement. The first major difference to note is scale. The entire King's Castle can fit inside the courtyard of my castle, which I think is pretty neat because it really brings into sharp relief the difference in scale. But, yeah, I mean, that's to be expected from a LEGO set, especially one from back then, but I think it looks kind of cute in there, like a little baby with its mother, except it's actually the other way around. Alright, let's get a better look on scale. Alright, now you can see them side by side, and I, for one, believe that you can fairly easily see the influence that the King's Castle has clearly had on my castle, especially, obviously, in the very front, with the drawbridge and the shields and the crossed lances. But also with the idea of having a central main gatehouse, and then a curtain wall and towers. I've obviously added more towers and a great deal more of everything else, but deep down I'm kind of trying to preserve the general look and feel of this castle, which is why I've not gone hyper-realistic, like you see in a lot of really fancy builds that people do, where they've, you know, covered up all of the studs, or they've done a lot more texturing, or lots of ways to make it look more realistic. I wanted to keep the look and feel of the early 80s and early 90s castles just because that's what I grew up with, and it's very nostalgic and fun for me. So there you have it. You can see the influence, the inspiration for my castle, and that's my 4th of July build. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.